All right, ladies and gents, welcome back here. Finally Friday. Finally Friday. Thanks for hanging out with me today. By the way, if you're looking at that Russell right now, there's your Russell 21 wave short. Just notice that Russell wave short getting ready to trigger here. You got big blocks of sellers in the tape right now. There's your Russell 21 wave pattern short. Momentum, of course, is curling. Big blocks of sellers. All right, keep an eye on that Russell 21 wave pattern short. Target on the Russell right now is 810.8. All right, 810.8 is your target. And of course, your entry right now will be below the 813. So below the 813 here on the Russell will be your entry short. All righty, you want momentum to curl over. Get me below 813. Why do I say 813? Because that's the 13 range trigger line on this Russell. So get me below the 813. Again, 13 range chart is at 813. I want to take this as a wave pattern short as well on the 21. So 21 range chart setting up for the wave short on the Russell right now. All righty. Having a great day so far. How did we get started? We began the day this morning with the news. The day began today knowing today's a Friday. And Fridays always mean the same thing. Be aware of those windows of opportunity. There are going to be times of great price action. There'll be times of very sloppy price action. On a Friday morning, we know it's all about getting in early, being patient, being disciplined, but keeping an eye on the clock because we know by 11:30, things are really going to be dead in the water. In fact, we always go a little bit further and say that we really have to have a good reason to trade on Fridays after 11 o'clock. Guys, there's your entry short there on the Russell. And again, you're going to go down to the 810.8. All right, guys, so 810.8, 811 here for your final target, guys, on that Russell. That's a 20-tick move on the Russell you're going for. Where's your stop going to go? Your stop will be up here, guys, at 815.5. Okay, so stop on the Russell, 815.5. So we knew this morning was a Friday. We knew we had to be careful early in the morning, being patient, being disciplined, but we also knew we may not get much of a window of opportunity today after 11 o'clock. Bernanke in the microphone today at 12:30, Obama at 12:15, and again, Fridays are always going to be very slow after our 11 o'clock hour passes. We had 8:30 international trade, 9:55 consumer sentiment. Now, consumer sentiment came out as expected. Well, a little bit lower than expected, but pretty much as expected. And what that did for us was it made us think that crude oil would be bearish. And that's where we'll pick up our trades today. We began the day on crude really doing a great job. Actually, we began it on euro. The euro got off to a great start. Let me get the dollar index here, get the Russell chart off the screen here for a second. Here's my dollar. Now, when we first began today, the first thing we did was grab the dollar. And what do we see on this dollar? The dollar has a short-term trend. At least it did at the time. What was it again? The dollar trend was higher. Well, what does that dollar trend tell me? The dollar trend tells me, the dollar trend tells me that we should be looking for a short trade. If the dollar is rising higher, I want to go lower on things like euro, crude, Russell, gold, bonds, everything. So when the dollar is rising higher, I know I want to go short. So right off the bat today, we knew sell retracements with new lower lows on crude, sell retracements with new lower lows on the Russell, on the euro, right, on the gold, on the S&P, on everything. So right off the bat this morning, we knew we had a bias to the short side. Then we went one step further, and we noticed we had what we call an A, B, C, D pattern. A, B, C, and then D is up here. So we've got A, B, C, and D. What does that mean for us? Well, what it means is we expect there to be resistance. On the dollar, we call this a major turning point. A turning point on the dollar is always going to be one of the best places to look for a trade. This is the very first thing we saw today. We checked the news first, and then we checked our dollar. Our dollar showed us strong uptrend, but we have some serious resistance now coming in overhead. So that told us two things. First of all, look for the short side. Second of all, those shorts may stop working because the dollar is at a turning point. And if this thing rolls over, right, and falls back down off the highs of the channel, off the AB equals CD reversal zone, these prices are going to start to rise now. So dollar gives me two clues. Look for the shorts first. If price goes right through that high, keep looking to sell short, which it did. It went right through it. But at the same time, be aware it may slow down and reverse. That's why we call them the turning points, because we expect the dollar will have a turning point. So dollar says look for the shorts, but at the same time, be aware if that resistance holds, right, you might be in trouble here. So we initially began on the euro. The euro plan was actually very easy. Now the euro hasn't changed all week. We've had the same strategy on the euro we've had all week, which was we wanted to sell off these highs with the goal of getting into the wedge below us. Nothing's changed all week. This has been the same thing all week. So here's my euro. And what did we see earlier this week? We had this sideways range, right?